President Yoon Suk-yeol wrapped up his Southeast Asia trip last week with deals that promise to tighten collaboration with the Philippines, Singapore, as well as ASEAN nations. He may brief the public on the outcome of his trip in just a moment. And that's why we are breaking into our regular programming to bring you live coverage of his remarks. In the 44th cabinet meeting that's about to begin soon, President Yoon could also make note of South Korean novelist Gang winning the Nobel Prize in Literature last week. For her work, which includes the novel The Vegetarian, she became the first Asian female to be awarded the prize in literature. She's also the second South Korean to secure a Nobel Prize after former President Kim Dae-jung, who won the Peace Prize back in 2000. Also included in today's cabinet meeting may be North Korea's recent argument regarding South Korea's alleged drone incursion into Pyongyang. The regime has been insisting since last Friday that South Korea sent unmanned aerial vehicles carrying propaganda leaflets to its capital, a total of 3 times just this month. The regime is now threatening to cut off all inter-Korean roads and railways. While we wait for President Yoon to appear at the Yongsan presidential office, let's recap some of the highlights from his Southeast Asia trip. His week-long trip consisted of 3 stops, with the first 2 being state visits to the Philippines and Singapore. Now in Singapore, he managed to secure a supply chain partnership agreement. And for the Philippines, Seoul and Manila agreed to maintain support for each other's security issues. They are North Korea for South Korea and the South China Sea issues for the Philippines. Now, the final destination of his week-long trip was Laos, where this year's ASEAN summit took place. And in light of marking the 35th year of establishing a dialogue relationship, South Korea and ASEAN upgraded their ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Now, also in Laos, President Yoon held his first ever in-person talks with the new Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba. There, the 2 leaders voiced the need to continue improving Seoul-Tokyo relations as they have been. For those of you who have just tuned in, we are just still waiting for this year's 44th cabinet meeting to begin here. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol may bring South Korean novelist Gang winning this year's Nobel Prize in Literature just last week. To remind you, she became the first Asian female to be awarded with the prize in literature. But she is the second South Korean to secure a Nobel Prize after former President Kim Dae-jung, who won the Peace Prize back in 2000. Now, President Yoon could tout Gang and also her work and address how far Korean literature has come. Now, it looks like the cabinet meeting is about to begin. We'll come back after he delivers his remarks.
국무회의를 시작하겠습니다.
Begin the cabinet meeting.
저는 지난주
Last week,
필리핀과
I
싱가포르를 국빈 방문하고
paid a state visit to Philippines, the Philippines and Singapore, and attended the ASEAN-related summit held in Vientiane in Laos. The ASEAN summit includes the Korea-ASEAN summit between Korea and the 10 ASEAN countries, and the ASEAN Plus 3 summit with Korea, China, and Japan. And on top of this, the East Asia Summit, EAS, which the United States, Russia, and India participate. And I attended all the 3 multilateral meetings. I also had bilateral meetings with many leaders of different countries who visited Laos. Through this visit, I strengthened, together with the ASEAN countries, strategic cooperation with our allies in key economic cooperation in the areas of infrastructure, supply chains, and energy. And this has been solidifying the global pivotal state status of our country. During the state visit to the Philippines, which was held in commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between the 2 countries, President Marcos and I established a strategic partnership. We decided to implement the Korea-Philippines FTA as soon as possible and further expand participation of our companies in rapidly growing sectors in the Philippines. In particular, I asked for the cooperation of the Philippines so that our companies in Korea can advance into the large-scale infrastructure projects connecting major islands in the Philippines. In addition, we agreed to promote the Laguna Lake Ring Road and PNG Sea Bridge projects as loans from our EDCF. This has provided an opportunity to further expand the participation of Korean companies in the Philippines and the infrastructure projects in the country. In addition, we signed an MOU on cooperation in the supply chain of core raw materials with the Philippines, laying foundation for combining the Philippines' abundant resources such as nickel, cobalt, and our advanced industrial capabilities. We also signed an MOU on cooperation in the feasibility study for the resumption of construction of the Bataan nuclear power plant. And with this, we will drive the cooperation in nuclear power with the Philippines. Myself and President Marcos, we also decided to expand a Korean company's participation in the Philippines military modernization project. I believe that this will be an expansion in the industry exports, defense industry exports to the Philippines. And then I visited Singapore, which is a key partner country in ASEAN. And during this visit, Korea and Singapore agreed to establish a strategic partnership relationship next year to commemorate its 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties. The two countries that have been leading Asia's growth agreed to expand cooperation in various fields such as advanced technology, energy, food safety, startups, and digital utilization, education. In particular, Singapore as a logistics hub, we decided to strengthen our supply chain alliance, and also Singapore, which is an international natural gas trading hub. We are also going to pursue a stable supply of natural gas by promoting cooperation. Through the LNG cooperation MOU and supply chain partnership agreements that were signed within Singapore, we believe that this will contribute to have an impact on the uncertainty of our external conditions on our economy and securing a stable energy supply. The Singapore lecture hosted by the Singapore Institute of Southeast Asian Studies explained the meaning of international solidarity in the vision of free unification, and I emphasized the realization of a free and open unified Korean peninsula will be a historical turning point that will promote freedom, peace, and prosperity in the world, and that it is a must that we have to be in solidarity with the international community. The Korea-ASEAN summit that was held in Laos, Korea and ASEAN declared the establishment of a comprehensive strategic partnership, which is the highest level of partnership. We, back in 1989, established the dialogue relations with the ASEAN, and over the past 35 years ever since, our trade with ASEAN has increased 23rd-fold and investment 80-fold. And human exchange is 37 times. And based on such history of cooperation, Korea and ASEAN have entered into the best cooperative relationship in the areas of peace, prosperity, and coexistence, and we are going to accelerate such cooperation across many fields. And through this ASEAN Plus 3 summit, we were able to create a new turning point for cooperation between ASEAN, Korea, China, and Japan. Held in May, after 4 years and 5 months, the Korea-Japan-China summit is becoming a catalyst for ASEAN's Plus 3 cooperation. The comprehensive strategic partnership between Korea and ASEAN, with the establishment of it, the role of Korea in this cooperative body will be further expanded. The Republic of Korea will strive to strengthen connectivity with ASEAN by contributing to expanding the financial and food safety nets in the ASEAN region and leading cooperation in future industries, including electric vehicles, and actively supporting the development of ASEAN talent. Meanwhile, at the EAS, I emphasized that the security and economic uncertainties facing the international community stem from challenges to norms and rules. Security challenges that run counter to the norm-based international order, such as North Korea's nuclear and missile provocations and threats, they are putting human lives and even the economy at risk. Myself and my government will work more closely with countries such as United States, Japan, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, and the Philippines and Malaysia to take the lead in protecting freedom, peace, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region. During my visit to Laos, I held bilateral meetings with Japan, Australia, Thailand, Vietnam, and Laos. With Prime Minister Ishiba of Japan, we agreed to continue the shuttle diplomacy and communicate at all levels to mature the bilateral relations. With Australian Prime Minister, I agreed to cooperate further in the areas of national defense industry, and supply chain. With the Thai Prime Minister, we held our first summit in just 1 month after taking office and discussed ways to strengthen cooperation related to future industries such as EVs and nuclear power. The Vietnamese Prime Minister, with Prime Minister Ching, we agreed to deepen cooperation in trade, investment, and infrastructure. With Laos President Thong Loon, we agreed to establish a comprehensive partnership next year to mark the 30th anniversary of the re-establishment of our diplomatic ties and strengthen cooperation in climate response and infrastructure. I hope that all ministries will take good care and follow-up measures so that the results of this visit can lead to tangible results that are palpable by the people. Our government, ever since its inauguration, has worked to build a capital market that meets global standards. The private sector-led, market-centered economy policy was the one that we transitioned into, and we solidified the fundamentals of the economy. And the global investors, so for them to easily invest in our capital market, we have been promoting institutional improvements to this end. We have made it easier for foreign investors to buy and sell our government bonds and have extended the trading hours for foreign exchange until 2 a.m. With such orchestrated efforts, the decision on our country's inclusion in the World Government Bond Index was made on October 9th. The Global Government Bond Investment Index, worth $2.5 trillion, we have been proudly included in the ranks, and this has opened our way into the global capital market. And we believe that this is an evidence that our government's policies has been done and executed in the right direction. It is expected that approximately 75 trillion won of global investment funds will flow in with the inclusion of into the World Government Bond Index. Based on stable global government bond demand, interest rates will stabilize and the supply of foreign exchange liquidity will become smoother. Along with such good news, our stock market is also expected to change. The government has been banning short selling and promoting fundamental institutional reform since November of last year. And this was to protect our capital market from illegal market disruption and also protect 14 million individual investors. On September 26, the revised Capital Market Act to improve the short selling system passed the National Assembly and will be promulgated today after the cabinet meeting. When the law goes into effect at the end of March next year, it will be possible to comprehensively inspect illegal short selling through the system. The uneven playing field between institutions and individual investors will be resolved, and also the illegal short selling and unfair trading, the punishment for such activities will be further strengthened. I hope that the relevant organizations will be thoroughly prepared. In addition, the government will further accelerate the corporate value-up policy to vitalize the capital market, and we are going to provide various incentives to shareholder-friendly companies. Through this, we believe that the virtuous cycle in which the companies increase their values and citizens who can invest and enjoy greater profits will create a virtuous cycle. And we believe that the ruling and opposition parties, the bilateral efforts, will be there to eliminate market instability factors. This inclusion in the World Government Bond Index, eradicating of illegal short selling, tax system reform, and corporate value up will eliminate the Korea discount, so to say, and elevate the status of Korean capital market. We will do our best to ensure that the government's efforts lead to the vitality of the real market, real economy, so that the people can feel the benefits.
이후 의안 심의는 비공개로 진행되오니 언론인 여러분께서는
That was our live coverage of the 44th Cabinet meeting of the year.